Hold. Whoa. Baba, ndiri mwana wako, kana ndakatadza, ndinochema mberi kwako, Baba ndiregere. Hallelujah. And when he came to his senses, when now realization dawned on him, when he came to his senses, kurwa kuti kubva paakabva kuna baba wake, kubvira paakakumbira kupiwa mugoyo wake nababa wake, kusvikira that particular day, he was out of his senses. Hallelujah. He was out of his senses. He could not even notice, he could not even realize how lost he was. He could not even realize that he was in dire need. He could not realize that until this particular day he came to his senses. Pengen. Retishona hanzi rinoti pengen. Hanzi paakapengenuka. Kuita semunhu anga akabatwa nechadzimira. Munoziva zvinoita munhu kana achinge abatwa apindwa nekutsauka, achinge apindwa nezvakaipa. You don't even see, we don't even see how bad we are. Atimboone kuti zvakashata sei patiri. Atimboone kuti takarasika sei until tati bengeni. Akamboita chadzimira anozviziva kuti unless you come back to your senses, ukaramba uri disoriented, unongoramba uchingotenderera, and you cannot even find where you want to go until you come back to your senses. And this young man, it was not until he came back to his senses, and the first thing that he knew, that he realized was, Funda,
he said, how many of my father's hired men have food to spare? How many of my father's hired men have food to spare?
Vangani vanosevenzera baba vangu vane zvekudya zvavanodya vachitosiya. Oh, he knew it. He knew it because he was there. He once was there, and he knew it. He knew how his father looked after his servants. He knew what his father gave to his servants and how they enjoyed life at that estate. He knew it. And now, when the truth, when realization dawned on him, when he came back to his senses, he said to himself, I know, and this I know, my father looks after his servants well. They eat and they even throw away a lot. But here, I cannot even access food for the pigs. I cannot even access even the crumbs that the pigs might leave. I cannot. Yet, servants within my father's house are living lots. What did he say to himself?
And here I am starving to death.
Hallelujah.
18. I'll set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against you and against heaven. 19. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired men. So he got up and went to his father.
Hallelujah. And the first thing, when he came back to his senses, he realized that Baba wake was still there, looking after other servants, and the servants had plenty, abundant. He said to himself, I'm going back there. But when I go back there, what I'm going to say to my father is, Ininiga, handichakodzereba kuti ndinzi mwana wenyu. Handichakodzeriba, handisisina kukodzera kuti ndinzi mwana wenyu. Nekuda kwekukanganisa kwandakaitira kwamuri nekudenga. Chindiitai, ndida zvangu kukumbira kuti ndiitwe muranda mukati mepurazi renyu, ndiitwe muranda mukati memusha wenyu, ndiiteiwo muranda. And what that means to me is, first thing this son does is, I will go and humble myself in front of my father. I will go and humble myself in front of my father. Then I will say this: I know I'm no longer worthy to be your son, but a servant. Just hire me, because I'll be able to eat and enjoy at least a life.
But while he was still a long way off,
when he came back to his senses, there was no need to go back and say goodbye, because there was actually no need for him to do that. We don't go and say goodbye. We just go to God. When he was still far, what happened?
His father saw him,
yes,
and was filled with compassion. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and
yes,
kissed him. 21. The son said to him,
yes,
Father, I have sinned against heaven and you.
yes,
I am no longer worthy to be called your son.
Hallelujah. He had rehearsed this. When I get to my father, when my father comes to me, what I'm going to say to my father is, I have sinned. I've sinned against you in heaven, and I'm not worthy to be called your son. So please, just accept me as a servant. Hallelujah. Maybe maskata anaya tirikudanwa na Kristu. Maybe maskata anaya tirikukumbirwa kuti tizvitsvage mukati memwoyo yedu kuti hatisina kufanana here nemwana muparadzi akasvika pane imwe stage yekuti ndinofunga kuti iye zvinezvi izvi I can live all by myself. I don't need my father. I don't need God. But I can survive all by myself as long as God gives me what I think is my inheritance. And God gave it to you. Hallelujah. But when we have squandered everything, tenzi vari kuti kwatiri masikati ano, uyai kwandiri, dzokai kwandiri, tendeukai muuye kwandiri, dzokai muti wongu tenzi takarasika. Imweni yenguva hatisi kutaura mitezo yedu chaiyo ndinogara ndichiti mitezo mukati memitezo yemiviri yedu inokakatana, inobvunzana, ruoko ruri kuda kuita izvi, gumbo riri kuda kuita izvi, musoro uri kuda kuita izvi, ruoko ruri kuti aiwa kani inini ndinofunga ndaakukwanisa, I can do all things by myself, to the rest of the other parts of gumbo riri kuti. It's today. Let's ask ourselves, are we back to our senses? If we are back to our senses, can we go back to God, Maskatani, and confess and say, Mwari, ndinoziva kuti handingakodzeri zvangu kuti ndidaidzwe semwana wenyu, asi ndiri kungokumbira zvangu kuti ndiitewo semuranda mukati meupenyu hwenyu. Hallelujah. Ndiri kungokumbirawo zvangu kuti ndingoraramawo semuranda. Ndinoziva kuti handinganzwe nenzara, ndinoziva kuti handingafe nenzara kana ndichinge ndichirarama mukati mamuri, mukati upenyu hwaJesu Kristu. Tikararama muupenyu hwaJesu Kristu, chokwadi chiripo ndechekuti hatishayiwi. Tenzi wanotipa, hatishayiwi. Hallelujah. Hatishayiwi. Mwari wanotipa, Mwari wanotiitira. Hazvinei kuti takakanganisa sei. Wasikana wangu vari kutaura pano, hanzi hazvinei kuti takakanganisa zvakakura sei. Kana tikakwanisa chete kurealize our sin and come to Jesus and say, I know I'm not worthy to be called your son. I'm not worthy to be called your son, but a servant. Just forgive me. Forgive me. Hanzi Mwari vanotiitira tsitsi. Vasikana vangu vari kuedza kudzika nayo kumberi. Amene kuti sei muri kutazi muri kutyika kudzika nayo mberi kuti mberi kwacho hanzi. No. God will accept you no matter what. God does not look at that.